Hello and welcome to episode 11 of Notts to Talk About, a Notts County podcast. Not as much to talk about this week because of the events at the weekend, but we still managed to find plenty of topics to get stuck into. But first of all, how are you, Casey?
Yeah, look, obviously disappointed that we didn't manage to get a game in. Obviously, it's probably helpful in terms of the form, but again, it's always nice to have a game on a Saturday to come on a podcast and talk to. But we haven't had that, so other than that, I'm okay. But what about you?
Yeah, mate, I'm absolutely, I'm buzzing actually because of just wanted to start with the figures and a thank you to say, the support has been absolutely unbelievable. We're nearing 1,000 views on the latest episode, which is just crazy to us. Almost at 300 subscribers as well, and so obviously that means that there's quite a few people watching that aren't subscribed, which obviously we'd really appreciate it if you would just go and click that button. It's free and it helps us out massively to get us to more eyes and more ears. But enough of the housekeeping out of the way. Let's go to Saturday. You're on the coach or you're outside the ground, and then you see the news that the game's off. What are your thoughts there and then?
Well, look, obviously the main one's disappointment, but like for me and everybody else on that bus, that's okay because. Well, it's not okay. It's never okay to have that sort of situation. But obviously, in terms of we don't have to repay again for travel. That's the thing. We can use the same coach ticket and get back on whenever the game's played. Whereas for people who have paid these 50s and some people sending me screenshots of £100 train tickets, even if you can get some form of refund now, you're looking at a massive loss of money. And in the circumstances, okay, look, maybe the pitch was unplayable, but for the way that they went about it in terms of posting a tweet at what I think it was like 10:30 in the morning or something like that, saying that the pitch is fine and we're not expecting any pitch inspection, to then getting that's when people start travelling, and then you get to 1 o'clock, 1:30, people already entering Bradford. Obviously we're outside the ground. We weren't the only fans in Bradford to begin with, so yeah, look, I think there's got to be some, like, and the thing is as well, everyone knew what the Bradford pitch was like. You don't have to look far on the internet to find out. In fact, there's cleaner farms, to put it politely, than there is football pitch. So everyone knew what to expect. They knew what to expect. For me, that pitch inspection, in terms of the forecast for the later times, obviously your 12:30, 1 o'clock, that pitch didn't need inspecting. Everyone knew it was going to be unplayable. To put out the communication in the morning saying that there was no pitch inspection was just pretty much false hope. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, that picture, I don't know. We're not throwing any accusations around, but it looks incredible that picture put out in the morning was then the same. It was a similar. It became the state that it got into. Incredible that's happened, and Nott's got a little bit of criticism from our own fans early in the season for calling off the Stockport game the night before. What are your thoughts on early postponements? Do you think that game on Saturday should have been called off, maybe even the day before? Because whilst I understand the point of view from Bradford saying that the pitch was playable in the morning, heavy rain was forecast. I think anyone could have just looked at the sky and told you that it's going to rain. Like, it was obvious. So do you think that game should have been called off certainly earlier than it was?
Look, I think so, but I think you could have done that. Yeah, I think you could have called the game off in the morning because obviously, although obviously it's a weather forecast, not every forecast is there to be correct. But I mean, an ounce of water on that pitch would have sent it into a landslide, if you like, in terms of just the amount of mud that's on that pitch and what comes up and surface. I mean, whilst it was 12:30, 1 o'clock on Saturday, the videos that were going around on Twitter, I mean, from that alone, you could tell it was always going to be off. And from there, people can easily turn around and go back. You're not too far to then go up to 2 o'clock. I mean, by 2 o'clock, away fans are already pretty much there, or if not within like minutes of being there. And yeah, look, that for me, that game could have been called off a lot sooner. I think everyone knows that. Bradford, even some Bradford fans are saying it as well. Like, that's how you know that it's bad, when the home fans are saying it. But again, they know what to expect with their pitch. They've seen it many a times this season, and obviously we just don't seem to have very much luck when when we go away to these places and you get rainfall. I mean, now it's Fylde, Kingsley, and Dover, and now Bradford. So I mean, when's the next one going to be? Who knows? But obviously, I think that game could have easily been called off a lot sooner than what it was.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that means that we've now got an extra game to play in the running. It's probably going to be rescheduled for a weeknight, you'd imagine. But that does kind of bring in the running. And I put a tweet out, mainly just looking at the facts and figures of the running and probably looking optimistically at it, which is a bit of a surprise considering how downbeat we both were. Well, I can speak for myself, how downbeat I was in the last episode. I think that's probably the most negative I've been all season. But looking at the running, you add the Bradford game in, but we end the season with a game against the current 23rd place. The game before that is at home against 22nd place. Having seen the stats that were put out, and I'll get those up in a second, but just your thoughts for the moment. What do you think of the running? I know that it's probably dreaming a bit, considering last week I said we're not going to get in the playoffs. But the timing of the games coming up, we haven't got to play too many teams in the playoffs. What do you make of that 12-game run that we've got to play before the end of the season?
Well, it's funny you say that actually, because I had this sort of conversation earlier with a friend at uni. Like, obviously, we came out of a spell now where we were a playoff side and we were playing against a lot of teams around us, and we didn't do too well, and that made us drop out of the playoffs. And now, funnily enough, our last 12 games is also against teams around us when you look at it that way. Now, so I think if there's any perfect time to start a run, it's always your next game. And that sounds cliche, I know, but especially with how obviously we'll get on to them, but obviously Wimbledon, and they'll be on a massive sky high from how they won their game against their rivals at the weekend. So it's probably a really bad time to play them in terms of that. But again, we never seem to have much luck this season. We can't sit here and now start feeling sorry for ourselves because we're 12 games away from the end of the season, and there still is massive potential to turn it into something to remember. Okay, again, yes, we've been on awful form, and it sounds crazy to say from when you get beat by bottom of the league in your last game at home. But yeah, look, it might sound crazy to come on and still be positive and optimistic, but end of the day, I'll always sing the praises of the team, like what we've gotten through the doors, because the quality that we have through the doors, anyone would take that off us if they could in this division. And look, we've seen it already so far this season. Yes, okay, under different management, but there's no you have to start winning games eventually. Like you can't keep playing like this forever. And although obviously it was very disappointing for the Bradford games to get called off, maybe the extra space of free time now you've got to your next game. Like we would have had almost 2 weeks since we last played, and that's not necessarily a bad thing when you're on bad form, but it's only a good thing if you come out and look like you've improved in that 2 weeks. Whether we do that or not, again, we'll be telling on Saturday. But yeah, look, with the run that we're on, well, the run of games that we have, you could say it's the running now because we are playing against a lot of teams around us. And you tweeted it, I saw at the weekend, there's now pretty much 2 places to play for in the playoffs instead of 1. So that you've got to look at that as a positive. And with the game in hand, we're only 4 points away. We will be if we win the game in hand. So look, it sounds hard to say now because obviously again we've came off the back of probably the worst defeat of the season, but you have to still be confident because and we've seen it this season and many times with this group of players that they can put a run of games together. But it's going to be harder now because obviously there's a lot of, rightfully so by the way, there's a lot of people that are doubting them, and I don't think anyone could be surprised by that because the performances, the form, and the way they've played as a team, they look like they haven't known each other long enough. Whereas when you look at it in reality, a lot of this group of players have been together for nearly 2 years now. So now is the time for me. It's 100% the time to start winning football matches. You can't stop feeling sorry for ourselves, and that's not me saying that about the supporters, it's about the players. Like, like I'm seeing too much of like all this like, oh, we're working on putting it right. Like, it's all right saying that, but you can't then do this and put them sort of messages out and then turn up and play like he did in the past few games, because then why are you doing it? So it's time to stop feeling sorry for ourselves as a group of players and just try and make this a memorable season, because we still can do it. There's no doubt about it. We have the quality to do it, and we have a lot of favourable games that realistically we should be winning. So who knows what's going to happen? We're even going to come on the next episode and talk about how miserable we are again, or we're going to come on and talk about how happy we are. You just never know at this football club at the minute.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that about the look. I don't know. Obviously, every football fan feels like this about their team, but it does feel like we've been quite unlucky with when we played teams, the timing of games. You know, like we had the trickiest run of the season in terms of teams played when we had a new manager come in, and you know we're playing Wimbledon this weekend, like you mentioned. We'll come on to that, but they're off the back of a huge win for them. So yeah, it does feel a little bit, but like you say, you've hit the nail on the head. We can't feel sorry for ourselves. I've got the stats here. Average position of the remaining 12 teams is 13.25. Obviously, that's actually above us at the minute, but only just. Points per game before that, so far in the reverse fixtures, is 1.58. So, a bit middle of the road. That does include, obviously, the 2 games we mentioned against the bottom 2 of the bottom 3 and the final 2. 6 games at home, 6 games away, so a nice balanced running. Average position of the teams at home is 11.8. Average position of the teams away is 14.6, so definitely favourable in terms of away fixtures. And also to mention the timing. Okay, the next 2 games, Wimbledon and Crawley, like you said, their teams around us. But then we've got Accrington, Salford and Swindon. All 3 of those teams, their seasons are kind of over. Accrington have sacked their manager this week, and kind of playoffs is a step too far, I'd say, for them, but relegation probably isn't on the cards. Same for Salford. They've had a new manager recently. Playoffs is a step too far for them. Relegation isn't on the cards. And Swindon, they've got an interim manager who's trying to get the job on a permanent. He's been there for quite a while now as interim. And again, relegation isn't going to happen for them, but promotion is a step too far. So if we can get through the next 2 fixtures with decent results, you've then got 3 games against teams that probably haven't got loads to play for. They're the kind of teams you want to play against, I'd say, in this run-in, because teams that are down the bottom, those 2 games at the end of the season, they look great on paper, but like we've just seen, we've lost to 24th at home in our last game, and if those 2 teams that are down the bottom are still fighting for relegation, those games are going to be, you know, so tough. I wanted to get your thoughts on that in terms of the run-in. Obviously, we've mentioned it there. You could call it the run-in. How would you feel about the next 5? You've mentioned the run as well. We need to start getting a run of games. How would you feel about those next 5 games? Obviously, are they winnable games? Would you say?
They are absolutely winnable games, and I think one of the easiest things you could say about that sort of run and them stats you just said is that if you offered that to any team that have their eyes on promotion, in terms of the next 5 or 6 games, and they had them sort of statistics about the teams that they're playing against, they would much rather have that than the games that they do. A lot of them still have to play against each other, so that can favour us. And look, like, even though we're on bad form now, the rest of the league will look at us and still think they're only 2 or 3 wins away from being back and being a threat again. And I think that as well. Like, we are, if we can get 2 or 3 wins under our belts consecutively, although it looks a million miles away, maybe, especially again, I don't like to mention it, but we have just been beaten at home to all in the league. But if we can do that, that for me will send a message to the rest of the league, especially when you look at it now. So you said there, your next 2 games, you get through that, you got obviously the teams that don't really like, they've got too much to play for. But if we win our next 2 games, that leaves us 10 games, 30 points to play for. And that will put us, if obviously with the 6 points, we'll be on 53 points. So our season maximum then could be 83 points. 83 points gets you into the playoffs comfortably. Obviously, you're not going to pick up maximum points out of them 10 games. I'm not saying that. But we are genuinely two or 3 good results away. And I don't mean scattered results where we'll win 1, then lose a few. I mean consecutive, win after win after win. From the rest of the league looking at us and thinking, right, they're back. They're going to challenge for it again. And I don't know how that can't be a motivational factor to the players. and not only just players, the fans as well. Like Saturday, okay, I understand it's been really poor recently, but one thing that I'll never doubt about this fan base is the loyalty, and I absolutely do expect 11,000 people to be there on Saturday because that's just the fan base we've got now. And if that stadium's rocking and booming, no team likes to come and play like that under them circumstances in Meadow Lane. So ultimately, you can be the 12th man. It sounds cliche, you can be the 12th man, but for me, the whole point I'm trying to make is this football team, this team of talented players, by the way, that aren't achieving what they are capable of doing right now, are only a few wins away from sending a very clear message to the rest of the league. And yeah, I'm excited to see what we can talk about in these next few weeks because I really want Stuart Maynard to do well, and he has got a lot of doubters at the minute, but you are going to get them doubters because you can't come into a club like this and have that sort of patch of run where you've only won one in your first 7 games, and I understand that, but I really want him to succeed, and I genuinely think that we just, I don't know what it is at the minute. The players look like they have a little bit of a lack of belief. I don't know whether that stems from the management or any external factor. I don't know what else it could be, but I hope that's why I think as well this postponement came at a good time because it gives you that extra time to regroup and go again. All that cliche stuff, but yeah, honestly, the running couldn't be any better for us. Yes, we have to play against teams around us, but again, with how close it is around the area of the table that we are now, you two wins in our next 2 games, and you're literally touching the playoffs again with a game in hand. So, although it's been really bad recently, don't mean we can't end it on a really good high. You just never know what's going to happen in football.
You've answered my question really, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Do you think that the postponement came at a good time then? You know, we've come on here and we're being a lot more positive than we were just, a week ago or whatever it was. The next time we play, it'll be 10 days, give or take, since we last played. The break has allowed us, I would say, to go away and start thinking positively again about Notts County. Would you say then that the postponement has come at a good time because that negativity probably isn't there, and we're able to go and look at these games and go, oh, we can win that, rather than coming off the back of another game we might not have played well or whatever?
Well, look, you said there, look, it's easy for us to come on as fans and as podcast hosts, if you like, and talk positive. But as much as it's nice to be positive, the main people we need to be positive are the 11 players that are going to start on Saturday and then Tuesday. They're the players they're the people that need to feel positive. And yeah, look, the postponement came at a good time. It might have been nice to play the game, but another bad result probably would have set the tone of a group of the players for the stadiums down even more. So the fact that hasn't happened now, you can only see that as a positive. And again, the extra time, I don't know what needs to happen. Whether you need to the players just need to understand that again, the reactions to the performances are warranted. I mean, as a professional footballer, if you can lose games, but it's not just it's just not losing games. The way we've played to lose these games warranted that reaction. Whether they agree with it or not, fans want this club to succeed, and if you're not going to win games, that's how it's going to react. Especially with obviously the promises start everything. But yeah, look, the postponement came at a good time. I think you'd agree with me there. I think many people agree, to be fair, as well, although it was disappointing at the time. And look, I've no doubt that Saturday, 2:55, that stadium will be full, and there'll be a good atmosphere. But it needs to be like that at 4:45, 5 o'clock when the game's finished. And if it's like that, then you've took one step over the starting line to what is hopefully going to be a very good end to the season.
Moving on then, we talked about one tweet, and here's another that I kind of put out today, which was about end of season. Well, not end of season, sorry, mid-season awards or 3/4, whatever. If the season ended today, basically, how would you rate your players in these different categories? We'd love you guys to get involved. So if you could, in the comments or the Q&A, if you listen on Spotify or the comments on YouTube, put your answers below. That would be we'd love to see them, and we'll leave it in a comment or on a tweet or something, so you've got the categories there. But I thought what we could do is run through them one by one and see if we can agree on who we think or what we think. It doesn't have to be, some of them aren't individuals, some of them are performances, what we think goes for each category. So we'll start off with player of the season so far. Quite a few candidates for this, but I've got one name in mind. I don't know if it's the same as you.
I'd imagine it will be. If it's a Malta international who plays left wing back, then I'm pretty sure we have the same idea.
Yep, spot on. So we're putting Jody in there?
Absolutely. I don't think you could put anyone else in terms of... I tweeted about it just before we came on. 26 goal contributions in 31 games from a large spell of the season. 9/10 of it that he's played at left wing back. There's many teams in this league, in the league above, probably even lower Championship, that'd take a player like him. So fair play to him. He's definitely getting my vote and yours as well.
100%. Moving on then to one that I think is a bit of a tougher one. Surprise package. I guess top of my head, jumping out. You kind of maybe got to go for a new signing here. I don't know if you agree. The ones that spring to my mind: Dan Crowley, maybe he's been better than I thought he'd be. Scott Robertson joined in January, been a bit of a surprise, positive surprise. And Lewis Macari, obviously joined on loan, not had the best results with loans recently, but that one was one that's gone quite well, as obviously ended up being permanent, like Jody was actually. But who would you say for surprise package? I'm trying to think of any others.
Yeah, I've got two. So first one for me is Scott Robertson. I think obviously it was very quick. It was almost like the word came out the day before we signed him, the day after we signed him, and he came with a lot of bad. He came with a bit of a bad reputation from Fleetwood fans, like, oh, don't get your hopes up, etc. But from his first 7 games as a Notts player, I can definitely see why we signed him. I can 100% assure Fleetwood fans that it may have been the shoe didn't fit too well at Fleetwood, because both boots have fit well here, and he's playing very good football for us. Even in a time where, obviously, again, we're not doing too well, but you have now everyone's starting to look at a bigger picture where when Matty comes back, and John Bostock may sign a new extension yet. We obviously don't know. I'm hopeful he does, because I love the bloke to absolute pieces. But if he doesn't, then you've got Scott and Matty and as a partnership to look forward to, and I think that's something you will have to definitely look forward to, because they're going to be two very good players for this football club, and hopefully together they can be the exact same. But my second one, I want to put forward Maka, because again, look, he speaks for himself really. His first 30 games now as an EFL footballer ever, and he's top goal scorer, I believe, still in the country. So again, he didn't start the season too well. He went his first 4 games without a goal, I think it was. And that was when everyone was sort of pointing the finger at him, saying, oh, he's not doing too well now. He's not playing part-time or, National League or whatever they wanted to call the National League at the time. But now he's sitting top of the scoring charts in the whole of England. And all I have to say to that is, who's laughing now? So that's my answer for them.
I love that. I think, we both said Robertson's, we'll put him in, but I think Maka's a great shout, and he's top of the goals, and also when you add goals and assists, and he's still top of that. I think Jody's second. So, that's for the whole league. That's a incredible first season ever in EFL. Most improved player, I'm going to put an early shout in for Richard Brindley to start the season. I wouldn't say him now. If this had been after sort of 10, 15 games, when he was playing in the middle of the back three, I think he looked brilliant. But I think obviously his season's tailed off, and obviously I assume he's picked up an injury. I don't know. He's not been in the squad for a long time. For me, the most improved player, again, sounds ridiculous to say because we put him in player of the season, but I'm going to go for Jody Jones. I think if anyone had said to me he would get 21 assists by March time, end of February, and he'd be our best player of the season, I probably would have not believed you. So he, for me, is the most improved player this season.
You know what? I was trying not to laugh there, because I was actually going to say the same thing, but I didn't expect you to say it. But yeah, look, last season he came as a half, a not fully fit Jody Jones, but you kind of understood there from what you saw of a half fit Jody that a fully fit one could be something very exciting for Notts, and it has turned out to be that way. And it's not only that. I mean, the way he ended last season, obviously with the goal against Bournemouth, converting a penalty in a winning penalty shootout at Wembley, and then going off into international duty throughout the summer, playing against England twice, and then obviously doing what he's done this season. You have to put him as most improved. I think not even just that, for him to stay fit and just to return as the player that he has after such bad injury luck, 900 days missed as a professional footballer due to three of the same injuries. An injury, by the way, that some players don't experience once. So he's done it 3 times and he's came back and he's absolutely smashing it this season. And I'm very happy that he's a Notts player. And if he's watching, please don't leave in the summer. I'll do anything, literally anything. So yeah, most improved Jody, absolutely, man.
Yeah, no, exactly. And like you say, some players receive that injury, never have that in their career, but some players have that injury once and that's it. They can't come back. And for him to keep coming back is incredible. Disappointment of the season. I'm going to properly dodge anything too controversial. I'm just going to say disappointment of the season is Luke Williams leaving for me. Simply, as much as I really am excited still about Stuart Maynard, I know he's got his doubters, and I really am excited. I think he can be brilliant for this football club. That opinion hasn't changed for me. Still, losing Luke Williams was never going to be part of anyone's plan or anyone's checklist or want list for this season. So, for me, that's the biggest disappointment. I've maybe gone a little bit outside the box. Maybe the first thought there is to think of a player. I don't know, but for me, Luke Williams leaving is the disappointment of the season.
Yeah, look, for me, that is a massive disappointment. But if I was going to answer it in terms of players, I'm not saying this to be controversial. I'm just saying this to be honest. He's not been a disappointment. He has been brilliant. But what I expected to get from him in terms of what we've got, which is obviously still a great return, but I'll have to maybe edge Didsey into that bracket only because, right, and he's been absolutely fantastic, by the way. But if you'd said to me which player would have 29 goal involvements at this point of the season between Maka or McGoldrick, I'd have said Didsey. And he's been brilliant. Don't get me wrong, he has been absolutely brilliant, and having back at the club's been fantastic. But it could, to be fair, it's a bit of a shame to him that. Well, I'm not ashamed. Obviously, I'm sure he loves it, but that Maka is still just Maka from last season. But yeah, look, I love Didsey anyway. But if I had to answer it honestly, I'd maybe edge him into that just because I really did expect, maybe his return's been brilliant, but I expected maybe a little bit better. But yeah, to answer it honestly, I'd probably say Didsey, yeah.
I think that's actually a great shout. Like, as much as like you say, he's been great. I think it was Gab Sutton who said it quite early on in the season. Shout out to him. He said it quite early, like, I expected more. I think he got a bit of criticism for that. But as the season's gone on, I guess Didsey came as being like the League One. I know he wasn't officially the player of the season, but he was like everyone's top player last season when he was at Derby, and he tore League One up. And you drop in a level, you think he'll find it easy, and it hasn't at times been like that for him. So I think that's a completely fair shout. Goal of the season, I'm struggling with this one only because we've scored some great ones and I'm definitely missing some out. Obviously, Jody had that free kick. There's been a few Dan Crowley screamers from range. Lewis McCarry's goal springs to mind. I don't know why. That's the one that keeps coming to my head. That absolute screamer against Shillingham. And also, there's the one that I know you posted today on the day of recording, the one where Jody goes down the right and takes on however many players it is and puts it into the box. And I know that's not the maybe a screamer, but the piece of skill for that has got to be up there as well.
Again, I'm happy you said it because I would put that up there for sure. Obviously, it was just a header, and you say it's just a header because Maka scores a lot of goals. To him, it's just a header, but for Joey to beat 3 men and obviously deliver it like he did was fantastic. Macari's goal against Shillingham, I've never seen him hit a ball like that. But that was absolutely amazing. Carl Cameron had similar against MK Dons away.
Of course.
That was obviously a very good strike. Again, someone you wouldn't expect to hit a ball like that, but he caught it very clean and fair play to him. And I'd also like to put in, well, it's not a great goal, but it's just one that I enjoyed. The McGoldrick goal against Forest Green at home. So obviously we defended the corner and then we broke, and then you just sort of felt like the whole stadium just get up on their feet as Jody ran forward, and then he squares it across to Didzy, and you just sort of know from that point onwards that he's going to score, and he buries it, and then does his, the infamous celebration from the Kop. So yeah, there has been met plenty of good goals, but I'd probably go for the Newport one just because of how brilliant Jody was in the build-up.
Yeah, that was an assist from the right as well. I know a lot of people have been saying recently he needs to stick to the left, but that assist was from the right and on his right foot as well. But yeah, that Didzy one as well. I can't believe I forgot about that one. That was an incredible goal, and like you say, the whole, I was definitely on my feet when that went in. It was a great counter-attacking goal, which we don't see that often, but counter-attacking goals are always really nice. Win of the season. I don't know, drawing blanks here off the top of my head because we haven't beaten any teams really in the top 7 at the moment, so it's difficult to think of any off the top of my head really. That sounds really sad when I put it like that, but I'm going to throw straight to you while I ever think of win of the season. Difficult one.
I'd go with the most recent one. I think I'd go with Newport away, only because it was the first time that not showed any. We were so used to the five at the back under Williams, where if it worked, it worked. If it didn't, he weren't going to change it. He was going to be stubborn. It's the first time in a while we saw change. We obviously switched to the back four, played Jody more advanced, Macker on the left, and it just clicked. And that for me will always stick. And that for me is why I won't lose faith in Stuart Maynard just yet, because to do that so early in his reign as head coach, and especially when you've took over from someone who was so successful like Williams, who never wanted to change, and to go to a place like Newport in wet conditions against who were a very informed team to begin with on the night, to absolutely dominate them on their own turf, and especially when, again, we were obviously not on the greatest run of form at that point, and we managed to put in that performance, which is again why it makes me feel like we're not too far away from doing it again for a longer run of time. But for me, that always stick, because it was one of them games where you just go into it really not expecting anything, but you come away thinking, wow, like absolute masterclass. So for me, the Newport, both Newport games, to be fair, both nights were incredible, but I'll go with the away one.
Yeah, and I think that probably would be it as well. I mean, a quick look, and the two games over the Christmas period, the 3-0 and the 5-0 were pretty dominant. Maybe that's a point for another day we could talk about. As much as this season we had a great start, there's not that many memorable wins, as in you feel like a massive win. We haven't really had that big win this season, and I think it's interesting. We've had 14 wins, and the one we had under Stuart Maynard we've gone for as win of the season. So an interesting thing there for sure. Loss of the season for me, it's I guess I've weirdly named that category. Giving a loss of the season award is a bit strange, but the worst loss for me is Mansfield at home. Awful day. Didn't even feel like eating my dinner, which is, people that know me, is very rare. What about you, mate?
For me, yeah, I understand your point in the Mansfield game. Obviously, you never want to get beat by your rivals, but for me, it was last Tuesday night. We don't need to go into the details of what actually happened in terms of like all the individual incidents with the players, but yeah, to be beaten by bottom of the league at home and to look like just unfazed, unbothered about anything on the pitch. Yeah, we don't need to go over that one again because better left in the past. But for me, yeah, Sutton at home, that's in its own category. It has to be the worst for me. Yeah,
I just having flashbacks to that then was maybe that should be. It was poor. To be fair, Sutton away wasn't great either. Although we did play better, all right on that game despite the scoreline, as weird as that is to say. But moving on, finally signing of the season. Shout out for me to Scott Robertson and also Didzy. I think both have been good, but for me, Dan Crowley, I know he's probably not in everyone's good books at the minute, but on a free transfer, I think that's an unbelievable piece of business.
Yeah, look, and again, Didzy for me is up there. There's no doubt about it. But I don't want people to to think because I've just said he was a bit of a disappointment that I don't like him. I absolutely love the bloke. I don't want people to take that out of context. Like, I just say it was a bit disappointing, not because of what he's added to the team, just because when we first signed him, I thought like, wow, this man is nailed on to be the league's top goal scorer, and it won't happen. But that's because obviously we've got Maka and there's a lot of good players elsewhere. But yeah, Dizzy, obviously it was brilliant to get him back. One of your own. The whole sort of week building up to it was brilliant. So that will always be a memory for me. Crowley as well. Again, obviously he's done he's not probably the most popular in terms of the fan base currently, but his contribution, especially as Palmer was still in the team, and that's what I think he'd be brilliant next season. Honestly, Dan Crowley, when Matty's back, and hopefully for the full length of the season. But for me, the signing of the season again, he's my player of the season.
Of course,
he's my most improved player of the season, and he's my signing of the season because yes, he was on loan last season, but he was a full transfer in the summer, and I think without Jody, I mean, you probably wouldn't even have the sort of form we would have had at the start of the season because he's been brilliant for a large, almost a full season. I can't think of too many games he hasn't been brilliant, but yeah, for me, that was massively important because you look at it now, and obviously we were the ones that took the chance on him because obviously an unfit Jody Jones is probably not on an unfit Jody Jones won't be on too many teams' radar, but a fully fit one with 26 goal contributions in 31 games, I imagine he's going to be on a lot in the summer. So again, Jody, if you're watching, don't leave. Thank you very much. And yeah, my signing of the season is Jody Jones.
Yeah, Jody, if you are watching as well, apologies. I've forgotten you there in terms of signing because you were here last season. But yeah, actually, based on that, he has to be signing of the season. So that's a hat-trick of awards for Jody Jones. He's had a hat-trick of assists this season and a hat-trick of awards in our 3/4 of the way through awards. I'm sure we'll do this again come the end of the season, maybe a bit extended in other categories and things like that. But if you guys enjoyed that, let us know. And also, obviously, we want to see your versions of it in the comments. So get them in. Just before we go on to preview Wimbledon, just a quick word on the fan zone that has been announced by the club. The plans to build or to renovate or the area and get a real atmosphere going. And obviously, the revenue from that, I assume, would go back into the club and another way of improving that matchday experience. Obviously, we've had the speakers earlier in the season. We've got this announcement of I don't know if fan zone's the right word, but that's what I'm going with. What are your thoughts and your take on that straight away?
Yeah, it'll be a good addition. It will certainly help with the matchday feeling. I think what it stemmed from is I think the owners must have, or whoever it was in the club who made this sort of decision, must have sort of obviously the box park feeling prior to the Wembley game. I mean, that was I'll never forget that feeling in the box park. Felt sorry for the DJ that day. To be fair, he was just trying to play his set, but the amount of chants and not songs that were playing being sung over it was amazing. It made the day. It was just excellent, and I feel like that's what they want now. I feel like they're trying to bring that to home. They're trying to bring the box park home with them. And yeah, look, great idea for me. I mean, it's going to obviously make the club more money in the long run. Whether it's just for home fans only or away fans, maybe it should just be home fans in case of any trouble. But it would be nice to have the away fans in there as well, because at the end of the day, it's football. We know it's a fans' game and it's a fan zone, so that's why they can't be involved. But brilliant idea again. Now I think stem from the box park, videos that met. It was absolutely amazing. So I look forward to it. Because if it can be anything like that, it will definitely help the atmosphere inside the ground because everyone goes in sort of with that match day feeling before the game. And yeah, what about you, bro? What do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm excited for it. It's a shame that it's not here this weekend for the Wimbledon game, but obviously I do look forward to it when that's that's ready. And like you say, Box Park was incredible. One of the best moments of my life, definitely. So it was just, if you could take you back to that moment in Box Park, I think that probably was better than the game itself, to be fair. The game was actually not too enjoyable. But again, that's a story for another day, other than the ending, of course. But we then look ahead to another game, Wimbledon. And talking of having a positive ending to a game, they had a very positive ending to a game this weekend. They played their bitter rivals, MK Dons, and in an early kick-off, and they got a 90-plus, I think 4, something like that, winner. Ronan Curtis slotting into the bottom corner. If you haven't seen that goal, by the way, go and find it. The scenes after the goal are insane. I don't know if the ball boy that gets picked up in the corner is okay, but hopefully he is. He gets submerged in the Wimbledon celebrations. It's incredible to see something matter that much to a team. Obviously, like you mentioned earlier on, that's going to give them a huge boost. But for that, though, they had a 4-game run where they lost 3 and drew 1. So they were winless for 4 games before that. Does that run before give you confidence? Of course, they are also playing tomorrow at the time of recording. They're playing on Tuesday night, Wimbledon, so they will have played a game in the week as well. So they've got all these factors. I've thrown a lot at you there. What are your thoughts in this game?
You threw a lot of factors, but they were all very, very sensible, very, very correct. You've got to take all these things into consideration. But for me, the way I look at it again is what I've referred to in the episode earlier on in the episode, which is, look, this Notts team shouldn't fear anyone, especially at home, never mind away. There should definitely be no fear in going to these places because of the quality that we have and the quality of the way we travel. But this time it's at home. You're going to be backed by 11,000 people. 11,000 people, by the way, that are there unconditionally, win, lose or draw. They always want you to succeed. They never want to boo their own players. But again, when you deserve it, that's what happens in football, and you paid enough money to be able to put up with that. So, but yeah, look, obviously, brilliant win for them at the weekend against MK Dons. I don't think they could ask for a better result against their rivals. To have that feel good factor around the place. Yes, they're playing tomorrow night, which also is another way of looking at how valuable this postponement might have been for us, because they're playing twice in the space that we played once. So. But again, it's only going to matter if Notts turn up. We haven't in recent times. But that's not to say that isn't going to happen on Saturday. And again, you look at, if you get a win on Saturday in our terms, in our point of view, you then look ahead to Tuesday night, which obviously we'll get to in a future episode. But like I said, it's all about starting a run now. It's normally the teams that start a run at this point of the season that normally get into the playoff places, and now there's not only one place to play for, there's 2, and then you never know, there might be 3 in a few weeks' time. You just never know with football. All you can talk about is what's upcoming, and that's what we're doing right now. And yeah, Wimbledon, obviously, again, brilliant win for them. Hopefully we'll get our own brilliant win over them, and then we'll see what happens for us. But I don't think it's a game that people should go into with a negative mindset. Okay, yes, maybe because of the form we've been on, understandably. But if this Notts team turns up, it could be a long day for Wimbledon. You just obviously never know what's going to happen on the day.
No, yeah, 100%. And I absolutely agree about the positive mindset. I think we've brought a lot of positivity in this episode. I'm going to go against that and go with a little bit of my only concern, I would say, is that Wimbledon have been very, very good defensively recently. And we struggle and have struggled, especially recently, against teams that are well organised, teams that have got a good structure. Wimbledon have got a very set, rigid structure. They're very well organised and very well coached in that regard. I mean, looking at their last 7, they've had a 0-0 with Bradford, who obviously we didn't get to play. They've had a 2-0 win against Barrow, so that's 2 clean sheets. A 2-0 loss to Accrington, again, though, low scoring. A 1-1 draw with Morecambe, again, low scoring. 1-0 loss to Crawley. Again, it's only 1-0. A 1-0 loss to Doncaster and a 1-0 win over MK Dons. So they're loving a 1-0 at the minute, either way. That's my only concern with them, is because of their structure, which is kind of insane to say when the reverse fixture ended 4-2 to Wimbledon. So based on what we've seen of them, it's 6 goals in that game. That's more goals than they've had in their last 4 combined. So with that in mind, going to throw it to you for a score prediction. I know you're feeling a bit more positive, and I am too. So hopefully we see some positive score prediction from both of us. But what's your score prediction and final take for this one?
Yeah, look, I mean, when the one thing you don't want for an opponent, especially in our case, is one that can keep clean sheets, which obviously you've said there they can, and they are capable of doing so. But they are also capable of blanking in games, like you said there. There's a few games they've lost without obviously scoring themselves. So hopefully they have that sort of weekend. I do think they'll score, because again, you can, as you've seen this season, our defensive problems, they haven't gone away overnight. They have not gone away over a few weeks, and I don't expect this 2-week period we've had without a game to be any different. So I do think we will concede, but I am feeling Stuart Maynard's first home win as a manager, because it's been long overdue. I think he deserves it. It's going to be the break that everyone sort of needs. We need that sort of relief at the end of a game where we've won and we're all together and we're all celebrating it. And the players, it'll be good for the players to see that sort of emotion from the fans, because right now in the camp they probably think, although they'll come out in the press and say that they know that we're not against them, but a lot of them will be in the mindset of there are people against them, and I can 100% assure you that is not the case. Everyone who's going to be there in the home stands on Saturday are going because they want you to win this game of football. They want to support you. They want to celebrate with you at the game. And after it, they want to be there to clap you off and give you a positive reception. So I'm going to go with 2-1 Notts. I do think we will go 1-0 down again. I hope we don't, because that can really set the tone of the whole stadium. But I just think if there's any time to show a bit of fight, a bit of fuel, a bit of passion, a bit of energy, desire, and want to still win football matches and turn this into a memorable season again for the 11,000 home supporters that are going to be surrounded by you. They're going to cheer every time you go forward, every time you win a tackle, every time you win a corner. They're going to do everything they can for you to win this game. If there was ever a single time to start winning games of football, it's this weekend, and it will set you up nicely to continue and do the same these last 12 games. And hopefully we'll have a playoff campaign to look forward to. But I'm going with 2-1.
No, I love that, and I was along the same lines. You mentioned there that they can draw a blank, and they definitely can. In January, Ali Al-Hamadi, well, firstly he went on international duty to the Asian Cup with his nation, and then he also went and moved to Ipswich, and he has been their key attacker. Of course, they've still got quality players. Ronan Curtis, who scored the winner at the weekend, but I'm gonna looking at their run. They've played 11 games since the turn of the year, and they've scored 9 goals, which obviously is not a great goal scoring return. So call me crazy, I know it's crazy, but I'm going to back us to keep a clean sheet, with the caveat that if we make a mistake like we did against Sutton, like for example the ball win, I don't want to single him out by the way, but the ball win back, the pass back, if that happens, of course they will score, because they're a good team, and if you present chances to any team that's in the top 10, they're gonna score. Like that is what happens. But I think if we play with a bit more confidence, which I think the break might give us, they're going to be a bit more fatigued. And like we've said, since Ali Al-Hamadi's left, their goal scoring return, not just because he's left, he's the goals, but also the disruption and the physicality. Don't forget, they beat us 4-2 because he absolutely bullied our defence, and he's not going to be there. So massive bonus for us. And look, maybe it's blind positivity, but I'm going to go for 2-0 Notts. Maybe blind positivity, clean sheet, who knows. But one thing that isn't blind positivity is saying thank you to you guys for all the support. I know we opened the show with that, but we just want to reiterate that the figures have just blown us away. And I know we say that a lot on here, but it's just because your support has been absolutely incredible. We're almost at 300 subscribers, and I know producer Charlie, who, massive shout out to him, he is obviously going to be, he's mentioned it to us, people that are watching, he gets all the stats and figures, and people that are watching aren't subscribed. So a big plea from us, if you could hit that subscribe button, it is free and it does help us out massively. But I'm going to pass over to you to wrap us up. I think we can hopefully have a positive wrap up to the episode today.
Yeah, for sure. And look, I want to echo what you said there. Look, the support on the podcast so far has been amazing. Now today, we've surpassed 700 followers on the X account, and we're 300. We're almost at 300 subscribers, which again is massive progress, because again 300, that means 300 people are going to get notified when as soon as Char hits upload on the episode. So that's brilliant, and it's starting to show in our viewership as well. The last 2 episodes now looking around 900. Our first episode that we ever put out now is at over 1,000 views, and people were still going back to watch that. So yeah, look, hopefully we can just keep going, keep growing, and eventually we'll start adding guests. But obviously the guest work takes time, because you have to ask for permissions, and forms get filled out with employers, and it's obviously difficult. But we are going to work on doing that. But for now, it's just me and Tom, and everyone's enjoying it, and we're enjoying it. And this is rapidly becoming one of my favourite times of the week. And I'm non-stop thinking about the podcast. I know it's the same for Tom and Char as well. So just keep supporting us, keep supporting the boys. And yeah, we'll be back soon to hopefully talk about the win against AFC Wimbledon. But until then, stay safe, keep supporting the pod, and come on, you pies.